Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. US Vice President and Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris bets on Tim Walz as a running mate, says we're going to win, while Trump blasts Walz as liberal extremist. Hamas names an architect of October 7th attacks, Yahya Sinwar, as the new political leader. Israel vows to continue to pursue him. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken calls him primary decider on ceasefire. In Bangladesh, Nobel Peace Prize laureate Mohammad Yunus appointed head of the interim government. Country opens, starts slowly returning to normalcy. Garment factories to reopen today. And in a historic moment, Vinesh becomes the first Indian woman wrestler to reach Olympic final. Hockey wizards go down fighting to a well-in Germany lineup. US Vice President Kamala Harris shared the stage with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz on Tuesday for the first time since he was announced as her running mate for the 2024 presidential election. Walz made a strong debut as US Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate, launching sharp attacks against former President Donald Trump and Republican Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance at a rally in Philadelphia. Walz said violent crime was up under Donald Trump, not even counting the crimes he committed.
He drove our economy into the ground, and make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump. That's not even counting the crimes he committed.
The Minnesota governor expressed his eagerness to debate Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance.
I can't wait to debate the guy. That is, if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. I got to tell you, pointing out just an observation of mine that I made. I just have to say it. You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy and, yes, just weird as hell. That's what you see.
DD India correspondent Benji Hire reports more on this from Philadelphia.
This is a campaign reinvigorated, re-energized. Vice President Kamala Harris taking to the stage in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, a city that's now drenched with water in a thunderstorm, but ultimately nothing could dampen the hope and optimism that she espoused as she introduced her new running mate, Tim Walz, to the stage. The Minnesota governor, aged 60, barely a household name just weeks ago, is now second on the ticket for the Democratic Party as they try to keep control of the White House. This is an individual that Kamala Harris sees as someone that could help balance the ticket, someone with an incredible wealth of experience politically, but also outside of politics, a veteran, a former teacher, a former coach of a football team, and someone that can try to reach out across the political aisle to rural Americans in those key battleground states that they really need to try to win if they want to defeat Donald Trump in November. He's also someone that is a very effective communicator when it comes to launching attacks against the Republican Party. He has been on the stage calling J.D. Vance, Donald Trump's running mate, quote, weird. Of course, none of this has stopped the Republicans from hitting back. They lambast Tim Walz as someone that they call dangerously liberal, someone that they say will allow convicted felons to vote. A deeply ironic line, perhaps, given that Donald Trump is himself one. There was newfound hope, there was newfound optimism within the Democratic Party with 90 days to go until polling day. We saw that at this raucous atmosphere at the rally on Wednesday night, and they will hope to continue. They will hope to carry that momentum going forward and inject it further into rallies for the rest of the week, for the rest of the campaign, until that big day, November 5th, when America decides whether it wants Kamala Harris as president or Donald Trump. Benji Hire in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, reporting for DD India.
The Trump campaign and leading Republicans have launched their first attack on Tim Walz, labeling him as far left, dangerously liberal, and a radical. Donald Trump, in a social media post, said that Tim Walz would be the worst vice president in history. Trump added that Walz would unleash hell on earth and open the U.S. borders to worst criminals imaginable. Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance said that Walz was on the far left of the Democratic Party and was chosen because Harris was a radical herself.
My view on it is it just highlights how radical Kamala Harris is. This is a person who listened to the Hamas wing of her own party and selecting a nominee. This is a guy who's proposed shipping more manufacturing jobs to China, who wants to make the American people more reliant on garbage energy instead of good American energy, and has proposed defunding the police just as Kamala Harris does. I think it's interesting, actually, they make an interesting tag team because, of course, Tim Walz allowed rioters to burn down Minneapolis in the summer of 2020, and then the few who got caught, Kamala Harris helped bail them out of jail.
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump on Tuesday announced an interview with entrepreneur Elon Musk scheduled for Monday night. Trump made the announcement via a post on Truth Social, stating, I quote him, "On Monday night, I'll be doing a major interview with Elon Musk. Details to follow." There is currently no information available on the interview's time or venue, nor any live streaming alternatives. Owner of X, formerly known as Twitter, Elon Musk, banned President Donald Trump from the platform for his part in sparking the Capitol riot on January 6, 2021. After Musk paid $44 billion to acquire the platform, the prohibition was removed. However, Trump still uses Truth Social for his social media interactions. All right, let's turn focus to Hamas-Israel conflict now. Hamas chose Yahya Sinwar, one of the architects of the deadly October 7 attack, as the next head of the group's political office, consolidating his power over the terrorist group as it continues the conflict with Israel. Sinwar is seen by Israel as the mastermind behind October 7th attack by Hamas inside the Israeli territory, in which over 1,100 people were killed and more than 200 others were taken captive. Sinwar, who spent 2 decades in Israeli prisons, has been long viewed by Israel officials as a strategist with a keen understanding of their society. He has been Hamas's leader in Gaza since 2017, but he will now replace Ismail Haniyeh, the group's top political leader, who was a key liaison in the indirect ceasefire talks with Israel. The United States has communicated to Iran and Israel that there is a consensus in the West Asia that conflict must not escalate. Speaking after a meeting with Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and the Australian counterparts, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that talks to achieve a ceasefire and hostage deal on the conflict in Gaza had reached the final stage.
We continue to work intensely to de-escalate tensions in the Middle East and to prevent the spread of conflict. Over the past few days, we've been in constant contact with partners in the region and well beyond. In those conversations, we've heard a clear consensus. No one should escalate this conflict. We've been engaged in intense diplomacy with allies and partners, communicating that message directly to Iran. We communicated that message directly to Israel.
The U.S. does not believe Iran or Hezbollah has taken retaliatory action against Israel, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said during a briefing on Tuesday. She also stated that President Joe Biden is making every effort to de-escalate tensions in the Middle East.
Look, it is certainly the President's priority to make sure that we do everything that we can to protect our national security, right? To make sure that we do everything that we can to work with our partners. And de-escalating the tensions in the Middle East is certainly something that we want to make sure that we continue to do. I do want to mention, you mentioned Hezbollah attacks on Israel last night. I do want to add that while we do not believe the response has started yet, we remain concerned by the increase in violence, including the firing drones by Hezbollah into Israel, and we're going to continue to have those conversations to continue to try to de-escalate the situation that we're in. Okay.
The United States condemned a recent attack on an Iraqi airbase that injured American personnel. White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre on Tuesday said that the United States will respond to attacks against personnel in a manner and place of our choosing. Jean-Pierre said that 7 service members were injured in an attack on a military base in Iraq on Monday, but no one was killed. Iraq's military condemned the Tuesday's reckless actions against bases on its soil and said it had captured a truck with a rocket launcher.
The United States condemns the attack on the al-Assad base yesterday. Our hearts go out to the service members who were injured, and we are hoping for a speedy recovery. We will respond to any attack against our personnel in a manner and place of our choosing. And I can say the president was briefed on the attack as it was underway, and the 7 members were injured in the attack. Thankfully, no one lost their lives, and we are praying for a speedy recovery for those service members.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said on Tuesday that sufficient police would be on the streets to handle anti-immigrant riots in the coming days. Speaking after an emergency meeting with ministers and police chiefs, Starmer said that police would be in place to cope with any further disorder. He also said that 400 people, in fact more than 400 people, had been arrested and 100 have been charged in connection with the recent riots.
Over 400 people now have been arrested. 100 have been charged, some in relation to online activity, and a number of them are already in court. And I'm now expecting substantive sentencing before the end of this week. That should send a very powerful message to anybody involved, either directly or online, that you are likely to be dealt with within a week, and that nobody should be involving themselves in this disorder.
The European Union has joined a number of countries around the world warning the Venezuelan government not to persecute the country's opposition figures. Now, this comes as growing evidence builds against the incumbent president's claims that he won last month's election. DD India correspondent Alex Kadia gets us more from Brussels.
Well, it's been another warning directed at Nicolas Maduro, the incumbent president of Venezuela. Another warning by the European Union. The Foreign Affairs spokesperson Peter Stano saying that this has to stop and that Venezuela and the Maduro government has to stop the intimidation of the judiciary and the intimidation of the opposition. This is after Nicolas Maduro's Attorney General said he was launching an investigation against Edmundo Gonzalez, the lead opposition candidate in last month's election, and Maria Corina Machado, who was supposed to be the lead candidate but was banned by the Maduro authorities. That investigation, according to the Attorney General, a close ally of the incumbent President Maduro, was for incitement to intimidation. That is after those 2 opposition figures encouraged law enforcement to join the people's protest. So this clearly a tension in Venezuela being monitored very closely here in Brussels, a warning from the European Union to stop the intimidation of opposition figures in the country. And this comes as the Washington Post reported that they had seen 28,000 tally sheets, these physical sheets of paper where the votes were counted. They'd seen about 80% of all of them from across the country, and concluded that Mr. Gonzalez and Edmundo Gonzalez in the opposition had won nearly twice as many votes as Nicolas Maduro, who is still clinging on to power. So despite warnings from the EU, which echo warnings from the United States, from other South American countries like Chile and Brazil, despite all of those warnings, the big question will be, what will Nicolas Maduro do next? Alex Kadia in Brussels reporting for DD India.
North Korea has criticized Germany's entry into a US-led UN border monitoring force on the Korean peninsula that would raise tensions, accusing Washington of creating an Asian version of NATO. Germany, a close US ally, on Friday became the latest member of the United Nations Command, a group that helps police the heavily fortified border between South Korea and North Korea and has committed to defend the South in the event of a war. The North Korean ministry said that Germany's entry into the UNC will inevitably aggravate the military and political situation on the Korean peninsula and the rest of the region, adding that Germany would be wholly responsible for the consequences. All right, Laura Westbrook is joining us from Hong Kong to get us more. Laura, very quickly, we've seen how North Korea has criticized Germany joining the UNC. Let us get more from you as to how grave is this warning and what could be, the fallout, the repercussions of this move in the region? Laura, North Korea has criticized Germany joining the UNC. Let us get more from you as to how grave or severe is this warning. Laura, am I audible? All right, for our viewers who've just joined in, this is the latest we're getting for you from North Korea, where North Korea has criticized Germany joining the UNC. Now, this is the US-led UN border monitoring force on the Korean peninsula that guards the North Korean and the South Korean border. However, North Korea has criticized Germany joining this command, and it has accused Washington of creating an Asian version of NATO. Laura is there with us. Laura, good morning. Now, North Korea has criticized Germany joining the UNC. Let us understand more from you as to how severe or grave is this warning by North Korea.
Yes, North Korea has responded to this announcement last Friday that Germany will be joining the United Nations Command. It is the latest country to join the command since Italy joined in 2013. And as you mentioned, this is a group of 18 countries that helps police that heavily fortified border, the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea, and helps to and has committed to defending the South in the event of war. Now, North Korea has responded vehemently against this. It's previously called for the United Nations Command to be dissolved, and in its latest statement, it's said that the US is trying to turn this into the Asian version of NATO. It's also said that Germany's entry is an act that would ruin peace and stability in the Korean peninsula. It's also warned that Germany will be responsible for the consequences of this action. And it's also said that in response, it will be bolstering its self-defense capabilities, and said that was to deter the current ever-escalating military confrontation on the peninsula. So really a very vehement response from Pyongyang in response to Germany joining the United Nations Command.
All right, Laura, thank you for joining in with those details. All right, you're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, Russia reports Ukrainian armored raid in Kursk region by sending troops. Storm Debbie threatens to bring catastrophic flooding to U.S. states. Authorities warn of heavy flooding. Triggered by heavy rains, floods and landslides wreak chaos across Nepal.
This week on Defense Dynamics, we will decode the most powerful and advanced artillery gun systems, and we'll tell you why India's artillery is world's one of the very best. Designed to strike fear into the hearts of the enemy, India's artillery guns are unparalleled in accuracy and devastating firepower. These Indian systems have redefined the battlefield. This is India's artillery gun system, where strength meets strategy and victory is forged in steel. Watch all exclusive behind-the-scene footage of this amazing piece of artillery technology on DD India this Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. IST.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get you updates from Bangladesh now. Nobel Peace Prize laureate Muhammad Yunus was named Chief Advisor of Bangladesh's interim government on Tuesday. Yunus was appointed to the post by Bangladesh President Mohammad Shahabuddin after he held meetings with student leaders and chiefs of the 3 military services. The 84-year-old Yunus and his Grameen Bank won the 2006 Nobel Peace Prize for work to lift millions out of poverty by granting tiny loans of under $100 to the rural poor of Bangladesh, but he was indicted by a court in June on charges of embezzlement. The leaders of the anti-discrimination student movement had proposed an interim government led by Nobel laureate Dr. Muhammad Yunus. A spokesperson for Yunus said that he agreed. He is in Paris for a medical procedure and is expected to return to Dhaka soon. Earlier on Tuesday, Shahabuddin dissolved the parliament, clearing the way for the interim government and new elections. The streets of the capital Dhaka were again peaceful on Tuesday, with traffic lighter than usual and many schools and businesses that shut during the unrest still closed. Garment factories which supply apparel to some of the world's top brands are a mainstay of the economy, and they will reopen on Wednesday after being shut due to the disruptions. Bangladesh's President Mohammad Shahabuddin dissolved the parliament and paved the way for an interim government to be formed. The president's office also announced that the leader of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, Begum Khaleda Zia, a former prime minister, had been freed from house arrest. Our Dhaka correspondent Naval Singh Parmar reports that there have been changes made to top-level army personnel, with a Lieutenant General Saiful Islam being appointed to the Foreign Ministry. Now, this report up next gives us an idea of the ground situation.
Sifting through the wreckage, collecting souvenirs, or from another point of view, just looting the residence of Bangladesh's former Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina. Widespread destruction of public property has left people wondering whether such anger is misplaced.
The vandalism I have seen, it was simply heartbreaking to see it as a citizen. These are all public property, not hers. When will it be restored? Our taxes will be used to fix it.
Local TV reported Bangladesh's President Mohammad Shahabuddin Chuppu having dissolved parliament on Tuesday, paving the way for an interim government to be formed. Hasina resigned and left the country following a violent crackdown on the student-led uprising. The angry youth still have their demands.
We sincerely hope everyone gets justice. Every death must be accounted for.
We will not accept any other government other than the one proposed by us. We will not accept the government supported by the military or the fascists. Any proxy government.
All right, our correspondent Amritpal Singh is joining us. Amrit, good morning. Now, you've just given a broad outline of the current developments in Bangladesh. You spell out more details. How do we see the days ahead unfold in Bangladesh?
It's going to be a very difficult journey. They've appointed Mohammad Yunus. They're calling him the chief advisor, but he's going to head the interim government. He has a lot of challenges. The first is to restore law and order, which primarily the military would need it to be, because the police force stands totally discredited. People are out on rampage there. They are, there are police stations being burned, police being attacked, police associations saying we are going on strike, police asking for apologies, saying your anger was against the political dispensation. Sheikh Hasina is gone. We were following orders. Whatever happened, whatever killings happened, that included policemen also. So we were a part of the system. So don't hold it against us. Prisons being looted. Yesterday, a prison was looted. 500 inmates were released. They are being called political prisoners. But how do we know how many of them are criminals in them? Mothers lining up outside the intelligence office asking for answers, demanding answers. People are out on the streets. Though there was less rampage on the streets of Dhaka yesterday, but government offices remain closed. Schools, shops, etc. did open. They're trying to restore a sense of normalcy, but normalcy hasn't completely returned. So that will be one challenge for the new dispensation. Then choosing the government would be a big challenge for Mohammad Yunus. He's very reluctantly accepted this because he realizes that there are problems. The students against discrimination do not want the military to take over. The military knows it's the only institution in the country right now that can enforce some kind of law and order. But given the sentiment, given the emotional outpouring, they're aware of the fact that the anger could soon turn against them. The tide could turn. And that was perhaps the reason why General Waqar, just being appointed by Sheikh Hasina, had to advise her to go out of the country and put in her resignation, reshuffle his top military leadership. There are a lot of challenges. Then there are challenges. What about foreign nationals like the Indian nationals, their safety and security? India remains the key force in the region. What about the status of the minorities? There are about 1 crore of Hindus, and we saw their businesses being attacked. We saw temples being attacked. So ensuring their safety, international pressure. The US is concerned, the Indians are concerned. You saw the Indian foreign minister speak in the parliament yesterday saying we continue to be deeply concerned about the safety and security of the minority, our own nationals there, our diplomatic staff, so all that. China saying we want political stability to return. So European countries issuing similar statements. So, there is a whole gamut of challenges that Mohammed Yunus faces now that he's accepted the demand of the students against discrimination and taken on this new responsibility.
All right, Amrit, also get us more on the status of the student protest and, what next for the student protest as well?
Protests have subsided for the moment. They are now a part of the political process where they are attending meetings with the president, with the army. They clearly are a force to reckon with. They are a key player now in choosing who the new dispensation would be. But as I said, that they have their own set of reservations. They don't want the military to rule directly, but the military remains a very powerful force there. Given there is power vacuum there, Begum Khalida Zia has been released from house arrest, but she's, it comes with its own set of complexities. A lot of BNP political leadership had fled the country during Sheikh Hasina's regime. They are not in the country. Khalida Zia's health is said to be, she's suffering ill health. There are talks about, revoking the ban on Jamaat-e-Islami. Now, if that happens, how does, the Mohammed Yunus was the, Sheikh Hasina had put a lot of cases against him, including corruption cases, etc. I think he has 20 criminal cases going on against him. But will he be able to sit well with the Jamaat? What will be their interference? All those questions linger on, but the student protests for the moment have sort of subsided. But there are incidents, as I said, of prisons being broken, police stations being burnt, etc. But they are now part of the political consultation process.
All right, Amrit, thank you for joining in with those details. And let's turn focus to other updates now. Russia said on Tuesday that Ukraine had launched an armored assault into Russia's southern Kursk region, but Moscow's forces had responded. On Tuesday, Russia sent reserve troops to its southern Kursk region that borders Ukraine after up to 300 Ukrainian fighters attacked its border units. TD India correspondent Dasha Cherdishova has more from the Russian capital.
Russian Defense Ministry has confirmed that the Ukrainian sabotage and reconnaissance group has been defeated after it tried to attack Russia's Kursk region. Moscow earlier accused Ukraine of attempting to penetrate Russian borders and attacking border settlements of Nikolaeva, Darina and Aleshna in Kursk region with up to 300 people, at least 11 tanks and 22 armored vehicles. Russian border troops have been repelling the attacks with the use of operational and tactical and assault aviation that struck the concentrations of Ukrainian manpower and equipment in the Sumy region. As a result of those strikes, Moscow says 16 units of the Ukrainian armed vehicles, including 6 tanks, were destroyed. Moscow also says that the reserves of the Russian group of troops in the Kursk direction have been moved to the area of the clash. The FSB said that the Russian forces have dealt with an armed provocation by Ukraine, and the attack resulted in civilian casualties. The last time local authorities in the Kursk region reported Kyiv's attempts to break the Russian borders on the 12th of March. Dasha Cherdishova reporting in Moscow for DD India.
Governors in the U.S. states of Georgia and the Carolinas have warned residents to prepare for heavy flooding as Tropical Storm Debbie hammers the southeastern United States. Forecasters say Debbie is moving back out to the sea, where it will refuel with additional moisture before making a second landfall sometime on Thursday. DD India's U.S. correspondent Kate Fisher gets us more.
Well, here in Washington, US President Joe Biden's approved emergency declarations, making federal funds available to the states of Florida, Georgia and South Carolina. Evacuation warnings were issued for more of the southeastern US coast on Tuesday as Storm Debbie continued a slow march across the state of Georgia for a second day. A month's worth of rain fell in the Georgian city of Savannah on Monday. According to the National Weather Service, it reported 17 centimetres. But in the whole of the month of August last year, the city only received 14 centimetres of rain. The city announced an overnight curfew, along with the South Carolinian city of Charleston, as flash flood warnings were issued. Forecasters predict that Debbie could make landfall near Charleston on Thursday, and then the weather system could move up the middle of North Carolina through Virginia and into the Washington, D.C. area by Saturday, according to the Hurricane Center. North Carolina and South Carolina have dealt with 3 catastrophic floods from tropical systems in the past 9 years, all causing more than $1 billion in damage. In Washington, Kate Fisher reporting for DD India.
Floods and landslides triggered by heavy rains wreaked chaos across Nepal. Landslides killed 7 in Baglung region while 4 were rescued alive. Baglung, a hill district in Gandaki province, is the hardest hit by the monsoon turmoil. 8 people, including 6 children, perished in the landslides at wards 9 and 10 of the Badigad rural municipality on Tuesday morning. Floods and landslides have also disrupted various highways and road sections. The vehicular movement was obstructed in the Kotang section of the Sagar Matha highway as the flood damaged road in Ward 11 of Halesi, Towachang municipality. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break. But after the break, we'll tell you all about presidential visit to Fiji and her 3-nation tour. Marking a milestone in international military cooperation, the IAF launches its first ever multilateral air exercise, Tarang Shakti. Celebrating the vibrant heritage of Indian textiles, India celebrates National Handloom Day on 7th of August. That is today.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's take a look at the top stories once again. US Vice President and Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris bets on Tim Walz as the running mate, says we're going to win, while Trump blasts Walz as liberal extremist. Hamas names an architect of October 7th attacks, Yahya Sinwar, as the new political leader. Israel vows to continue to pursue him. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken calls him primary decider on ceasefire. In Bangladesh, Nobel Peace Prize laureate Muhammad Yunus appointed head of the interim government. Country opens, starts slowly returning to normalcy. Garment factories to reopen today. And in a historic moment, Vinesh becomes first Indian woman wrestler to reach the Olympic final. Hockey wizards go down fighting to a valiant Germany lineup. The President of India will be on a 3-day state visit to New Zealand between 7th to 9th August on the invitation of Governor-General of New Zealand. Now, this is the second presidential visit to the island nation in the last 1 decade. Ahead of the visit, DD India correspondent Bindu Mondal spoke to the Indian High Commissioner to New Zealand, Neeta Bhushan, to find out what all is expected out of this visit and how this visit is going to further strengthen the bilateral relationship between the two countries. Let's listen in.
The President of India will be on a 3-day visit to New Zealand, a beautiful country with beautiful landscape. She will be here in Wellington as well as in Auckland for the next 3 days. She arrives on the 7th and she will be here till the 9th. I'm also joined here by the High Commissioner of India to New Zealand, Ms. Neeta Bhushan. Welcome to Doordarshan, ma'am. What does the President's schedule in New Zealand look like over the next 3 days?
Namaste to all your viewers. The President's visit is a state visit, so all elements of a state visit are included in this. The highlight, of course, is the welcome ceremony at the Government House and the bilateral meeting with Governor General Right Honourable Dame Cindy Kiro, and of course the Prime Minister of New Zealand and the Foreign Minister, who is also the Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Winston Peters, would be calling on her. She is also scheduled to participate in an education conference, and there are some elements of the program with the diaspora, a community event. So these are the broad elements of the program at the moment.
Well, also, ma'am, India and New Zealand have been known to be sharing a very cordial relationship in terms of trade, economy, bilateral ties, as well as in terms of culture. Given the fact that this is a presidential visit almost, in fact, a second visit almost in a decade, the last one was in 2016, how do you think it is further going to strengthen the ties between both the countries?
Yes, I think this visit is going to be a milestone one because this is only the second visit by President of India to New Zealand. Like you mentioned, the first visit was in 2016. So the Governor General, has been very keen to invite her, and right from the day I presented my credentials to her, she was very enthusiastic about inviting the Honorable President of India, and she feels that there are lots of commonalities between both of them, and also there are a lot of synergies in our partnerships. If you see the India-New Zealand relationship, over the last 2 years or so, there have been a plethora of activities, large number of exchanges have taken place. The Honorable External Affairs Minister paid a visit in October 2022, followed by visits of their Foreign Minister last year, and again earlier this year in March, the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, Mr. Winston Peters, traveled to India. In addition, a number of official and business delegations have traveled to each other's countries. So we see a lot of exchanges happening at the highest levels and at various levels, which indicates that both our countries are very committed to enhancing cooperation and collaboration in various sectors.
Also, ma'am, you mentioned about the meeting with the Prime Minister of New Zealand as well as the Governor General. What all are expected in these meetings? Are there any exchanges that are going to happen? Are there any memorandums that are going to be exchanged between both the countries? Any information on that as of now?
We are working on a few, deliverables, and you will come to know once the visit starts. We'll be able to share some more information, but a wide range of subjects are likely to be discussed, which will definitely strengthen our ongoing relationship even further.
Right, of course. And also, ma'am, coming to the Indian diaspora, New Zealand has about 300,000 Indian people of Indian origin, in fact, living in New Zealand. What do you think would this visit perhaps do in order to strengthen the people-to-people connect with both the countries?
Absolutely. I think the Indian diaspora is extremely excited to welcome Honorable President to New Zealand. We are planning to have a community event and where Honorable President will interact with the diaspora members. As you know, any dignitary coming from India is very well received here in New Zealand. The diaspora is of course, they have adopted the New Zealand way of life, but very committed to the Indian, values and ethos, I would say. And as I said, I have been traveling to various cities, and everywhere people have been asking me when is the next, such a high-level visit. So I would say the community members are extremely engaged with India. One sees a lot of travel between India and New Zealand. They have been, contributing in various spheres, whatever they are doing, whether it's in the universities or in business. I see a lot of enthusiasm among the people to do more with India, to bring our two countries closer. And diaspora has a very important and useful role to play in this matter. And I think that the diaspora linkages are very strong already, and they will definitely be further strengthened by the visit.
Well, of course, ma'am, in every country I have seen that the Indian diaspora always is very excited to welcome their own leader. But having said this, ma'am, of course, there's a community event that is planned, I'm given to understand, in Auckland. The president is going to attend that. How excited is the Indian community there, and what is lined up for the president as well as for the Indian community of Auckland?
Yes, actually we try to take the biggest hall that was available in Auckland for the community event, and but we are still falling short. In the hall can only take so many people, and my colleagues and myself, we are inundated with WhatsApp messages and emails asking for more people to be included. We are doing our best to accommodate as many people as possible. We have a short cultural program as well, which is being performed by children of our diaspora members. So that also will showcase how well our members have preserved the Indian culture and heritage. And then we have an address, of course, by the Honorable President, for which everyone is waiting patiently, and that is going to be the main highlight, I would say.
Ma'am, but I'll take this liberty to ask you a last question perhaps. What are the key takeaways that you think, because you've been in New Zealand for quite some time, that the President of India could perhaps take back when she goes back to India? What are some of the key elements of New Zealand?
I would say that, the fact that our Honorable President is visiting, she will get a feel of this region. I understand that maybe this is her first visit to Oceania region, and this region is very special. It may be far away geographically, but there is a lot of connect with India. We are both democracies, our values are the same, we follow rule of law, and lots of things are very similar in the sense our love for cricket. So that is very common. Love for sports in general, including hockey and mountaineering. Sir Edmund Hillary is a household name in India, and a New Zealand cricketer Sachin Ravindran is also very, very popular in India as well. So there are so many things which are common between our countries. And I hope that this, is something that can be taken away by the dignitaries and by the official members. They will understand that we may be far away, but not that far in terms of our minds.
Well, of course, very well put, ma'am. With this note, this was Ms. Neetu Bhushan, the High Commissioner of India to New Zealand, speaking to Doordarshan on the upcoming presidential visit of India to New Zealand. Thank you so much, ma'am, once again for speaking to us. This is Dibyendu Mondal from New Zealand in Wellington with my camera person Rajesh Riki for DD India.
All right, so that was about the expectations from the President's visit. And now we take you to the picturesque New Zealand, where President of India would be on a 3-day visit. New Zealand is known for its sheep farming and is also famous worldwide for its serene countryside. Our correspondent Dibyendu Mondal, who is in Wellington, gets us this exclusive story on the sheep of New Zealand and the people around sheep rearing in the country. Take a look.
New Zealand, often called the land of the long white cloud, is renowned for its breathtaking landscapes and thriving sheep farming industry. Sheep outnumber people by more than 6-1, making it a cornerstone of New Zealand's economy and culture. Meet Sabin, a dedicated sheep farmer living just a short drive from Wellington. Sabin's journey into sheep farming started almost a decade ago.
Come out! I am here in the Wellington city of New Zealand, joined by these beautiful sheep that give out the world famous wool. Sabine, so tell me something about how you began and how did the idea about this sheep rearing and your love for sheep come about?
So I was a felter in Switzerland working with wool, and then when we moved to New Zealand and bought a farm, I was looking for sheep breeds which I would like to.
Tell me about your experience about sheep rearing and how did you come about with living with so many sheep?
So in Switzerland I have been a felt maker working with wool, and then when we moved to a lifestyle block here in New Zealand.
Sabin's farm is home to over 70 sheep. She treats each of them like her own child. For her, sheep farming is a way of life. Her passion for wool and sheep reflects in her studio. The process of sheep farming is both an art and a science, from breeding and feeding to shearing and wool processing.
My first sheep were English Leicester, and then I fell in love with the Gotlands. So then I got New Zealand Gotlands, but then I saw the Swedish Gotlands, and then I started to upbreed with AI, and then in the end I got some embryos. So I bought sheep in Sweden, brought them to the UK, had them flushed for embryos, and this one is my first Swedish Gotlands, which were born almost a year ago.
The wool harvested from these sheep is not just used locally but also exported worldwide, symbolizing the global reach of New Zealand's sheep farming industry.
And now we are inside the studio of Sabin, where she's working with the freshly harvested wool from the sheep that you have seen in the farms with her a little while back. Not just this wool which she is currently working with makes these finest of different rugs and carpets, and also these beautiful textiles that is widely available across New Zealand, and it is also one of the most popular wool in the world. With camera person Rajesh Riki, this is Dibyendu Model from Wellington in New Zealand for DD India.
On her visit to Fiji, President of India Draupadi Murmu visited the Sri Seva Subramanya Swami temple at Nadi, Fiji, and offered prayers. Accompanied by her daughter and the official delegation from India, President offered prayers at the temple. The temple, dedicated to Lord Subramanya Swami, also known as Lord Kartikeya or Lord Murugan, is built in the traditional Dravidian architecture and is reminiscent of the temples of Tamil Nadu. On Tuesday, India's President Draupadi Murmu addressed Fiji's parliament. She highlighted cooperation in agriculture, climate change, education, space and renewable energy. Fiji conferred its highest civilian award, the Companion of the Order of Fiji, on President Draupadi Murmu. On Tuesday, the President also addressed an enthusiastic gathering of Indian diaspora in Fiji and hailed the contribution of Indians in development and close ties between the two nations. The Indian Air Force has launched its first ever multilateral air exercise, Tarang Shakti, in Tamil Nadu. Now, this significant event marks a milestone in international military cooperation, bringing together air forces from the United Kingdom, Germany, Spain and France. Akshay Dongre has more on this.
India's first multinational air exercise, Tarang Shakti 2024, kick-started in Sulur, Tamil Nadu. German, French, Spanish and the Royal Air Force conducted air exercises with the Indian Air Force. The Chief of Air Staff of the Indian Air Force also participated on the first day of the aerial exercise along with his German counterpart. Air Chief Marshal V.R. Chaudhary welcomed Lieutenant General Ingo Gerhards, the commander of the German Air Force, who flew in Eurofighter Typhoon.
Tarang Shakti is, especially for the three nations, France, Spain and Germany, part of a bigger deployment. We are deploying one time around the world this year, and it's overall 5 exercises. And for the German Air Force, it's the biggest and most complex deployment we ever did. but it's much more than doing a military exercise. It's partnering around the globe. I'm pretty sure the next 2 weeks, I take the Indian motto, so to say, we will touch the sky with glory.
All the air forces showcased their aerial prowess during the multinational exercise. India also showcased the growing might of its defense industry.
Over the years now, we have been having a lot of bilateral exercises with many of our partners and friendly foreign countries. For example, with the Royal Air Force, with the French Air Force, the US Air Force, the Singapore Air Force, we have almost an annual exercise with them, a bilateral, either within the country or we go out there. But we've never tried to have a multilateral exercise. We were quite satisfied with what we were doing, and the takeaway from each of the exercises was, good enough learning value for us. So this is the time we realized that it's time now for us also to host a multilateral exercise. From the experience that we gained, having taken part in such exercises across the globe, we wanted to put it in action here, and that's why we are here now.
In the exercise, nearly 30 countries will participate, and out of 30, 10 countries will join the exercise with their fighter aircraft. The exercise is being conducted in 2 phases, which aim to showcase India's defense prowess and provide a platform for participating militaries to foster interoperability.
Amid the fast-changing geopolitical landscape in the world, the importance of India when it comes to the Indian Ocean region, the Indo-Pacific, or the experience that it has from its conflicts of the past was exemplified, where the air forces from UK, Spain, Germany and France operated with the Indian Air Force here in Sulur, Tamil Nadu, where all of these air forces shared their experiences and tested their interoperability for the future alliances of these countries. With camera person SP Dubey, Akshay Dungre, DD India.
On 7th of August, India celebrates National Handloom Day, a day dedicated to honouring the handloom weavers of the country and their contribution to the rich tapestry of Indian culture and economy. This day not only celebrates the vibrant heritage of Indian textiles, but also aims to promote and support the weavers and artisans who have kept these traditional crafts alive for generations now. Here's a report by DD India's correspondent Preeti Vadera.
National Handloom Day is celebrated every year on August 7th, marking the launch of the Swadeshi movement in 1905. The day serves as a reminder of the importance of indigenous craftsmanship and the need to support the artisans who create these unique handwoven products. This day aims to bridge the gap by promoting the handloom sector and encouraging consumers to choose handwoven products. The day also honored the handloom workers of the country to provide motivation and sense of pride to the handloom industry by appreciating their contribution to the cultural, traditional and economic landscape of the country.
Handloom weaving is not just a profession for us, it's a way of life. Each piece we create is a part of our heritage, and we take pride in keeping these traditions alive.
Handloom sector is key to women empowerment. Over 70% of handloom weavers and allied workers are women. From traditional saris to modern home decor items, the handloom industry offers a wide range of products that reflect India's artistic heritage. Young entrepreneurs are increasingly advocating for the country's local artisans through their innovative startups.
The Indian handloom textile is a testament to the cultural diversity and our rich heritage. By incorporating this craftsmanship into our modern fashion, we are uplifting the lives of thousands of artisans and also promoting our rich heritage to the global level. We wanted to create a platform where we can be vocal about our local products and also uplift the life of Indian artisans. We are very proud of our Indian heritage because they are the important piece of our history and culture. We not only want to promote the Indian heritage in Indian subcontinents, but want to take it globally.
The theme of National Handloom Day 2024 is Weaving Sustainable Futures. This theme underscores the importance of sustainable fashion and eco-friendly choices. It encourages individuals to adopt handloom products which are often made from natural fibers and dyes, and to support the artisans who create these beautiful and unique items. By choosing handloom, we contribute to environmental conservation and the preservation of traditional crafts. Kriti Vadhera's report for DD India.
All right, now we'll turn focus to updates from Paris Olympics. Indian wrestler Vinesh defied huge odds to assure herself of a medal at the Paris Olympics by reaching the final in the women's 50 kg wrestling event on Tuesday. The 29-year-old also became the first Indian woman wrestler to reach an Olympic final in wrestling. Vinesh stormed into the women's 50 kg final on the back of 3 stunning wins. She defeated reigning Pan American Games champion Yunus of Cuba in the semi-finals after getting the better of former European champion Oksana Levak of Ukraine in the quarter-finals. Vinesh will now compete in the gold medal match against Sarah Hildebrandt from the US at the Paris Olympics on Wednesday. In yet another heartbreak for India, India lost to Germany 2-3 in the men's hockey semi-final match at the Paris Olympics. Skipper Harmanpreet Singh and Sukhjit Singh scored for India, while Gonzalo Pellet, Christopher Ruhr and Marco Mitkau were the scorers for Germany. India will now face Spain in the Olympics bronze medal match. Also, in the last edition of Olympics at Tokyo, India had won the bronze medal. All right, a quick look at what is scheduled for the key matches for Indian contingent at the Paris Olympics today. Indian duo of Suraj Panwar and Priyanka Goswami will kickstart their campaign at the mixed marathon race walk relay event. India women's table tennis team will also be in action as Srija Akula, Manika Batra and Archana Girish Kamath will team up for the quarterfinals against Germany. Indian wrestler Antim Panghal will also be seen in action on Wednesday as she will start her campaign against Yenep Yetkil in the pre-quarterfinals. Weightlifter Mirabai Chanu will also start her campaign in the women's 49 kg weightlifting event as India will look to add another medal. Wrestler Vinesh Phogat will compete in the gold medal match against Sarah Hildebrandt in the women's freestyle 50 kg event. Women's golf players Aditya Shok and Deeksha Dagar are set to take part in the first round of the individual stroke play. All right, that's it in this edition of DD India News Albat. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. This app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.